Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jeff here at Ferko Family Farm, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. I'd love for you to follow along on our journey here at Ferko Family Farm. Oh, and don't forget to hit that bell. Stay alerted when we release new videos. Good thing I'm in the greenhouse because the wind out there is pretty breezy. Today I'm gonna actually be starting to do the shelves up here. We need to get the shelves done because we need to get these plants started. I stopped by the store the other day. We picked up some materials, and what I plan on doing is kind of following the boards that are already here, the existing boards where the old shelf was. Put a piece on the front here. This is gonna be roughly 3 foot wide. Everywhere there is a 2x4 here on the wall, I'm going to then put a cross support in the bench. And the reason why I'm doing that, which I know some of you might think it's overkill, I have a wire mesh that we're going to be using to put over top. It's actually right here. So this is just hardware cloth, and it's 1/2 inch squares. We'll see if this is going to work. I kind of was thinking about something a little bit heavier duty than this originally, but we'll see how this works. We're going to go ahead and put this on top, and this allows for proper drainage and things for plants and pots and stuff that are up here on the shelf in the greenhouse. So that's going to come down to about here. That's what we decided to go on. No specific like measurements. We didn't say we wanted 3 by 10 or whatever. We were just kind of looking at the layout of the greenhouse itself, and as we're in here, we decided that that size table should work for us. What I did also the other day when I was out here, I was looking around, you'll see just some random boards stuck in the walls here, mostly on the other side here. There's some there. We've got one here and a couple down here. What I was doing is kind of brainstorming and figuring out how we can do the planter beds in here. And basically I put those 2x4s in there because those are gonna have to get mounted as nailing points for the lumber that we're gonna use to build the planting beds. So I have an idea what we can do for the planting beds here in the greenhouse. Gonna get creative since we do have, this is all plywood floor in here and whatnot. I'm gonna have some drainage, some screening, anyways, I'm gonna cross that bridge when I get to it. We're not here today to work on the planter beds themselves, only on the tables. Also, from a few videos back, you might have remembered I had this fold-out table that we found when we were cleaning out the greenhouse as we were taking it all down. And that's a cool little table that's gonna be able to fold up right below the windows here. So I'm gonna mount that as well, and we can fold it down out of the way, save some space. And when Jerry does need to use it, or when it needs to come in handy here, we can fold it up and use it. So that's gonna be awesome. We're gonna try out these burpee starter trays this year. We'll see how it goes. Basically, these are trays that they have a layer there for the water and whatnot, but each one of these starter trays, I think it's rubber. I believe it's rubber on the bottom, and it's kind of neat because they're soft and you can press. And so when you have the starters in here, when you go to transplant, put them into a bigger pot or out in the garden, basically we can just take these. It'll be easy to just kind of push the starters out and try to keep them as intact as possible and nice and neat. Then we can transport them out into the garden. So I already got all the pre-measurements, so I didn't have to spend time measuring it and all that today. I'm gonna get those boards cut, and then we'll start the assembly and we'll get this table built. Oh, and just to clarify, I am not a subject matter expert in any of this, and these are not how-to videos. So of course, if you see something that I'm doing wrong, or something that you think that I could do better, or even have some helpful hints or ideas, definitely drop them in the comments section down below, guys. I'm not here to claim I'm an expert at doing this. We're just trying to make do with what we have and get creative at the same time. Again, if you have better ideas for things that we can do here around the farm, and not just for the greenhouse, but for any project or anything we're doing here around the farm, definitely let me know. Drop me a comment, shoot me an email, whatever's most convenient for you. Oh, before I forget, I know in the last video I said I was gonna be working on patching up some of the bodywork here. So I kind of did that. I patched it up the best I could, but I did find out, unfortunately, a lot of the wall that's back here on the back side is pretty dry rotted. and falling apart. What I did was I just took the brad nailer and kind of tacked in whatever was a little bit loose. Some of this bigger area, I did throw a couple screws in there. There's 1, 2, 3, just to hold this wall attached. Now, let me get out of the wind here. Now, whenever I go to do anything else on the exterior of this, like painting per se, we will go ahead and probably tear off and at least replace the bottom half of this, if not the whole thing. So there's so much wood on here that needs to be replaced, but again, for this year at least, at minimum, we're just trying to make do with what we have and reuse what we have on hand. And no point of spending all the money to completely tear off the outside and redo it. I just patched it up and closed it up. Most of the exterior, everything from the exterior side is done. The only thing that would be left would be just the door. And the reason why I haven't done the door yet is because I haven't really figured out what I want to do. If we want to rebuild the wood door, which I'm leaning towards that's what we're going to do, or if I'm going to buy a pre-built. But again, just trying to save money and resources here, so we'll probably end up just reusing this door and patching it up, maybe replacing some of the wood. Now we're ready to build on the inside, and here we are. Let's get the shelf done. That should be somewhat level there because I measured the height from the floor up to the top of this rail here, and it was the same height that I made this, with including that. So let's see, I want the bow outward so we can draw it in. I'm just gonna put one in there for now just to hold it together. There's this other board down here. This is gonna butt up on the outside, so when this goes up, this will butt here, so I could put a screw there. Nah, we'll put that on in a minute. All right, from the outside, wait a minute, 36. Made a mistake on my cut. I didn't take in consideration this 2x4 right here. So that 1.5 inches should have been added on the end of this 2x4. I'm gonna have to recut this one so it's 1.5 inches longer to bring the corner back out. All right, I cut out another 2x4. This one should be the right size now. So let's get this thing built. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 at 33. Had to make some minor adjustments, but there it is. That's framed out. And one thing I should have probably taken into consideration before doing this is the front board here, this face board. I forgot, not only does it bow outwards, so it bowed out this way, which is fine because we'll draw it in with the boards, but it also dips down, it bows down this way. So when you look at it, there's a slight bow down, but hey, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not gonna be super flat and level. I mean, as level as possible, but I try to make do with what we have here in the wood, and I think it's fine. So now what I need to do is I need to get the wire mesh that I have and try to lay it out over top of all this and see if we can't get it pulled real nice and tight and stapled down. If I can get that stapled down nice and tight and it holds the weight, that'd be awesome. Until we get that on there and run some tests, I'm not quite sure if it's gonna work or not. Once we get this done again, we'll move on to the one under the window so that we can kind of just mount up there with a few screws and maybe a 2x4. So another reason why I did this 3 foot is because this spool's in 3 foot and I wanted to be able to go right down the edge of this, hopefully without overhanging. So I'm probably gonna use the outside edges as my guide, starting probably starting at this end since I have the wall to fight up against. We can roll it out past. All we need to do is get one of these started here. Be in much better shape. All right, we got it completed. So the whole top is covered now, nice and solid. Gives us an area to put all the starters here, and I just stapled it down. Man, we're running out of daylight hours today. I'm gonna go ahead and get that other shelf now mounted on the wall there. I went ahead and put a piece of 2x4 right up under here under the window. I just kind of toenail screwed these in to the studs on the wall. That way it gives us an area to screw in the shelf right there. All this one really is just kind of holding it up somewhat close. Doesn't have to be perfect, and getting some screws put in it. So I just want to put this up close to the level of that, but over just a tiny bit. We're gonna put it somewhere right in there. Alright guys, we made it just before it got dark outside. It's getting real close here. We don't have much. It looks actually darker than what it looks like on camera. So here it is. We've got the table done, and the other table here that will just flip right up and set right there. Pretty much the same level as the other table. So I'm gonna get Jerry out here just to get her stamp of approval, and I think the shelves are good and ready to start planting, which is awesome.
Oh, it's nice. That's perfect.
Yeah. So that table will fold up. There's a leg that you can just pick up and slide over, and by doing so, see that leg underneath?
Perfect.
Just set that like that. Boom.
Nice.
Good?
Yep.
Is that enough space? Is that big enough?
Yep.
Awesome.
I'm excited. I'm ready.
We got her approval.
I'm ready to start.
All right, so I'll probably pick up tomorrow, and we need to start taking the garden down, the old posts. So I have a TPost Remover I finally got, and I need to start taking down all that wire around the existing garden and pull all them T-posts up. I'll pick that up in the morning or maybe tomorrow afternoon, and we'll start taking down that fence. All right, see you tomorrow. And just like that, it's the next day and we're at the garden. So we have to take down this fence around the garden because the garden's gonna be a lot bigger this year. It's actually gonna go up a little bit farther, out a little longer, and we're gonna have to do a secondary garden above this instead of doing a garden by the barn like we did last year, where we had some pumpkins and potatoes and a few other items up there. We gonna move it all down here so everything's centralized right here where the main garden was last year. But the goal of this fence last year was to keep our dogs and other animals and the chickens and things out of the actual garden itself. Now I know deer and other larger animals can jump over it. We just kept an eye on it last year. We had a just a T-post with a little owl, you know, a fake plastic owl that was in there, just kind of keeping smaller birds and prey away. We did keep an eye on it though, and I didn't really ever see any deer tracks or anything in there, which is good. So what we need to do is just kind of take off these wire. Had a little electric strand run on top and bottom. We're gonna pull that off all the plastic insulators that are on here, all the yellow insulators. Once we get all that off, I'm just gonna cut the fencing loose. There should be a couple zip ties that kind of hold it together, as well as, you know, the fencing itself just wrapped around. We'll pull the fencing down. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do with it right now. We'll just kind of set it out of the way, maybe put it in a barn or something. Then once all that's done and everything, all the fencing's down, it'll just be the T-posts. And I actually have a T-post remover now, so we're gonna get to test that thing out for the first time, see how nice that is. And then once this is all off, you know, we'll get ready to be prepped to tear the sod off the ground. I want to kind of take the box blade and see if we can't cut all the sod and grass as much as we can for all the garden areas. And then I bought a 6-foot tiller the other day to rototill this whole area down with the tractor. I have an idea that might work to form a frame that we can pull behind the rototiller that would allow us to mound up our hills for the garden all at the same time with a few scrap 2x4s and stuff. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. First thing first though, just for today, I just want to get this fence down, and once we get this fence down, we'll be ready to go to start the new garden for 2022. So let's get started, guys. I gotta untwist all this. I twist it on here to hold it. Take a little time. What are you doing, Bella? What are you doing, Bella? You coming to check out the garden? Yeah. go. All right, I'm gonna go over and get the last two rolls done. Then we have one, there might be three, 1, 2, 3, but let me go get those picked up and then we'll go get the TPost remover. All right, I got all the fence picked up from the garden. I actually have it rolled up and stuck in the back of the side-by-side. Now I'm gonna bring that back to the barn so I can drop that off, and then I gotta get the TPost puller or TPost remover, bring it out here and get all these T-posts pulled out. Not even sure where I'm going to put this for now. Just stick it back in the corner. Just going to put it back there in the corner for now, I guess. This area's a little tight. I need to organize it back up here later. But for now, at least, we'll just take this and just kind of tuck it out of the way. I'm not quite sure what we're going to use these for. But we'll eventually probably get to put them up somewhere. Maybe another little garden, or I don't know. We'll cross that bridge again when we get to it. Uh-oh, someone got in front of me. All right. Now, take the T-post remover and we'll put that in the back of side by side here. Now this wire, I've been taking this extra wire here. I've been putting this over in this old, I guess a horseshoe or saddle box here. You'll see from when I removed the old fence. So I just kind of stick this in there until I need it again in the future. All right, let's see how easy this thing works. You're supposed to be able to just set this thing up with the base on the ground. This connects around the T-post and you push it down, it's supposed to pull it up. Let's see if it works. I'd say it works. Awesome. Now let's just work our way all the way around. This thing is actually working really slick. I already did the whole garden in like 5 minutes. Didn't take me long at all. So if you see, what happens is there's an arm here. This just folds in half, come as a lever system. And then there's a little grabber here. This little grabber here goes around the T-post and kind of slides down, and then it'll grab right here on the front. We'll grab on the tooth of the T-post, and that'll help pull it up. So when you put it on, this makes it like butter. You don't have to push that hard. Boom. Then the T-post is out, just like that. So glad I bought that thing. I'm gonna pull this last one out here real quick and then we'll be all done. Boom. And just like that, TPost Remover did its job today. Got all the T-posts out. So easy. Okay, and that's it. So we got everything out of the garden. All the fencing is down. The posts have been picked up. I'm gonna bring up to the barn here in a minute, and we'll finish up for the day. So what I plan on doing out here, because the garden's gonna be a little bigger this year, it's gonna be wider than it was. So there's gonna be some additional rows, like 1 or 2 additional rows. What I wanna do is to take the box blade on my tractor. I have it hooked up to the back of the tractor now. And I actually came through yesterday. You can barely see this brown line right here. I put the box blade down without the teeth. It was just flat and scraped to see how easy it would be to scrape the top or the sod off the top of the soil. And it'll work, but I plan on putting the teeth down so I can break the soil up a little bit. And I want to scrape as much of the sod as I can. Scrape it all out and then till up the remainder of the soil in the ground really, really good out there. I plan on getting some cardboard paper that we can roll down as a barrier for any kind of potential weeds from any leftover seeds and everything that's tilled up into the garden. And hopefully the garden won't be as out of control as it was last year. Because if you guys remember the garden last year, although it produced quite well and we did get quite a bit out of it, it just was a huge section of weeds. The weeds are so tall and it was so overgrown. And that was just because we just really couldn't keep up with it and we didn't build it the right way the first time. So you live and learn. This is gonna be a huge project this year. This is gonna be bigger than we've ever done it before, these gardens. Let's see if we can do it. I'm excited to give it a try. Thanks a lot for following along today. It feels good to get those shelves built in that greenhouse and get out here and get all this fencing done on the garden. Now we need to get out here and do the dirty work, get the tractor, get the ground all tilled up, get the gardens built out, get the starters started, and it's gonna be pretty busy, but I'm looking forward to it. All right, until next time, guys, we'll see you later. Take care.